Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Just wanted to say about the brain thing. Yeah, it's amazing how we don't use all of it at the same time. And if we did, the amount of power. We was just talking about, has anyone seen that film, Lucy?
No, I've not
Anyone?
seen
Lucy?
Lucy.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
you've seen a
Limitless.
fantastic
Good,
movie. Yeah. If you liked Limitless,
Yeah.
right? It's the same drug-based thing where in Limitless you got that pill and it makes you smart for like, I don't know, 24 hours, whatever it is, a week or whatever. Lucy is the same thing where
they cut her open, pack drugs inside
she got
of her,
kidnapped, didn't
a
she?
large amount of drugs.
She got
She
drugged.
has to go and deliver the drugs.
Yeah.
What happens is the drugs, they split inside of her, so she gets the full dose of like the whole amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and every so often, I think it's in hours or every other day, the brain's processing power is being upped by a certain amount of percentage. So, like you see, like before the drugs is like 20% the power of the brain, and then after all this shit happens to her, and the full dose of the drugs that split in her stomach because they cut her open and put bags of pills in her to smuggle it through, and that burst, and that's where it went all into her system. So now what's happening is that in a few days she's got like 30%, then it's like 35, 45, you know. And as the mind is getting more and more intelligent, and when it's starting to hit like 75, 85%, you're starting to manipulate time. You know, like the power of the mind. It's manipulating time.
I think first she does like the electromagnetic field, isn't it? Which is like radios and internet and stuff.
I can't remember that. I'll be honest with you, Ollie. I couldn't remember the final result because I want to see that movie again while we're
it's a
talking
film
about
I'm gonna watch tomorrow.
Lucy.
I think Lucy.
And the actress, what's her name?
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett, yeah, great, and it's brilliant in it. Absolutely brilliant. Love that movie. You know, so I think it'll be a great Saturday night movie. It's a good bit of action, you know, and the scientists have been on about it forever. And I think this is like what they're trying to say, like the humans are going to transcend more into spiritual souls within the next 1,000 years or whatever have you, you know, like we are transcending beings, but this is all with the intervention of AI. And this is where we originally started. How dangerous AI could be once it overtakes intelligence of the human. Even though they're saying how they've got protective measures and backdoors in place, you know, we can pull this cord, we can switch the button off. Do you trust that, Rob?
I don't trust any of it, mate. Have you watched
Terminator? Yeah.
Not Terminator.
It's all going to come down to how we raise them.
There was a film I watched recently where there was a couple and he worked really high up in an AI situation, and they brought home this like robot man, basically, you know, to do stuff around the house. And like they stand in front of him, they turn him on, and it's just like, obviously it's an actor playing it, but it's scary how it takes over.
How'd they turn it on? There's a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
Marvel, they did the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know what I mean?
Yeah, seen that.
And it got to the framework where they did that. I can't remember the bird's name. She was a robot.
I
remember that, mate.
It's terrific. It was the Scottish fella, wasn't it? He was Ava, her name was.
That's it.
And she started basically putting the agents in the framework into the bit where she was plugged in somehow, and just started doing, oh mate, scary shit.
Yeah,
it could happen.
It's not that it's like it could. I think it will. It's only a matter of it's a snowball effect.
Just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. This shit could happen. It's like whatever.
That's going to happen. As I said, it's just snowballing because every 6 months technology advances. Every 6 months. That's in the commercial world here. You know, what consumer based. Yeah. What do you think is happening behind military doors, behind the scenes? You know, these people that work for the government. If you think, I can't hear you, Enzo.
Every day is probably advanced, isn't it?
Sorry, mate.
Every day is probably advanced.
Every day, mate. They have, like I said before, they have technology that's like 50, 60 years ahead of what we know. I mean, we got the microwave from them. yeah, from the military. We got the Teflon frying pan from the shuttle. You know, because that's what they use when they re-entry the system, Teflon,
Fuck
for the
that.
heat.
Do you know what? I've seen some of these spaceships that apparently have been to the moon, right? But I can't believe they went there in a frying pan.
Mate, they came back in the frying pan.
I know Mr.
No, they
Spoon
did-
went
they
to
did-
Butter Moon, didn't he? That's about as fucking close
Yeah,
they've got
that
to
was
it.
on the shuttle, but man, they cut. We listen. Firstly, we haven't gone to the moon.
I
And
don't believe they've
well, you
been.
can't. It's not about you not believing it. NASA have come out and said it in not so many words. Oh, we've lost. We can't go back to the moon because at the moment we can only go up to low Earth orbit.
I don't know
can't
if
get
we
past
said-
the Van
I don't know-
Allen belts.
They've recently admitted that, didn't they?
Yeah,
They-
yeah.
Last
And
week they
I'm
admitted
seeing it on
low Earth
Scientists. I
orbit.
downloaded
Yeah.
the video
Yeah.
to show you guys.
I don't know if we've
Yeah.
mentioned this before, but there's a film that came out in 1974 or 5, something like that. It's called Capricorn 1.
Oh, Capricorn 1. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. That was
And
the
have you
Mars.
seen it?
No,
Right. It's a trip to Mars, right?
Right.
And it's basically if you switch out Mars for the moon,
Guys,
and then
it,
it shows you how easy it would be to fake the moon landing. And because people say, how can they have so many people involved in the lie?
Yeah.
Well, it's quite easy. They flew that thing up in Florida, right? But Houston, we've got a problem now. I think that's more than a few hundred miles away, isn't it? Right? So you've got a mob here chucking a rocket up in the air, and right over the other side of the country, you've got people sitting in an office with computers. Somewhere else, you've got something up, you know, and there's all these different pockets of people. And what they did in this film was just before they went to shoot the rocket up, they've opened the thing up, gone, listen, you've got to get out, this thing's going to blow up. So they rush these spacemen, astronauts, out of there and get them to do one, right? They fly them away in a helicopter and then they lock them in a room, right? They send a rocket up and they just blow it up or whatever, or they send it wherever it goes, right? So everyone thinks it's gone up. Then they say to these astronauts, listen, we've pulled you out because of safety, this thing was going to blow, and we can't afford to not let this mission happen. And then what they say to them is, listen, if you don't go along with it, we'll basically do your wife and kids, they're finished.
Yep.
So they have to lie and go to this film set and make out they're on the Mars, but they're not. It's meant to be the moon,
Yeah.
obviously. But it's so easily done. So easily
But
done.
that movie there, that was based on
Yeah.
the moon. You know, what happened and what and
Exactly.
like a lot of people did not.
But not only that, right? Have you seen the thing that landed like a spider, didn't it?
Oh, mate, that's
Right.
a chat.
Yeah.
Listen,
And if you go to
it's curtain poles, isn't it?
you go to the
Tin foil.
what's that Science Museum
Yeah,
in
Science,
London, right?
yeah,
They've got
that's
like a model there.
yeah.
Got some tin foil, some bits and pieces, right? Now that's meant to have somehow landed on the moon, right? Then these geezers get out of it, pick the old blower up.
Who put the camera on the
Hang
moon?
on, they phone from there, right? You can't get a signal on your fucking Apple phone, let alone, do you know what I mean, up there. But you've got another mush who's orbiting, apparently going around the dark side of the moon, and up there in
Is in the moon's orbit.
some like round, like sort of cone-shaped thing. Where did they fit the bit that went to the moon? Where did that come out of?
I don't know.
And where did it go when they went up?
Mate,
Because the thing that lands in the water that they climb out of
was a train.
is only big enough
Like
for
a
three
dome.
geezers to get in it.
Yeah,
So where the fuck is a spaceship they flew from the moon to the capsule?
it's bollocks. It's
None
all
of it
bollocks.
makes sense.
No one questions the in between bits, the bits in between the lines. You know, as I say, read between the lines. So when you look at that, there was a camera on the moon while they were landing.
Yeah, but it just panned up and zoomed in, didn't it?
No, that was on the way out.
Yeah, no. Who's up there? Who's up there now?
Someone was left behind, panning the camera up there. Some might say it was remote control, but then you're looking at the actual shuttle, that triangle bit, that dome bit there. It's all juddering as it's going up, like it's being yanked on cables. But that is not my main thing. That is not the thing to me. That fake moonlight. What is the Van Allen belts, and that's always been the Van Allen belts. They've never had the technology. It would have made the rocket far too heavy to lift off if they put protection on there, and that protection is lead shielding. It's far too heavy, but that's what they needed to do to go through the Van Allen belts. Now, blatantly, NASA now, you could, anybody can Google it or YouTube it, whatever have you. You know, NASA admits we didn't go to the moon, and they're coming out. Oh, at the moment we can't get we can't get to the moon because of the Van Allen belts, and he's drawing scribbly lines around the planet Earth. We can only
Isn't
go.
there meant to be a mirror on there that you can bounce a laser off of?
Yeah, but there is apparently there is some equipment up on the moon, like for moonquakes, and a mirror to point your laser up there to give you
To prove that they've been there type thing.
that doesn't prove nothing, because you can just send a automated system up there.
What about the flag?
Yeah, what? Who says there's a? Can you see? There is no. You can't see a flag on there, mate. You might be able to see equipment.
What? Hang on. So they don't even know what this moon is made of, right?
No, they don't.
Yet they can take a little hammer and knock a fucking stick into the ground and put a flag up. How do they know that's not?
Well, no. This is the thing that the moon doesn't share a lot of its composition with the planet, our Earth. You know, there's like 4 or 5 mainstream theories, you know, that say where the moon comes from. Sorry, but in essence, they've got more.
I thought the moon broke off the Earth before
No,
it solidified.
that's wrong. That's been proved wrong.
How is it?
Even the theory when Mars crashed into it and then it fell off, it's been
We're not
proved
talking
wrong.
about Mars.
No, there was a Theia. There's a planet called Theia
Yeah.
before, and what created it crashed into. It was a Mars-sized
yeah.
planet that crashed
Yeah,
into the
yeah,
planet
okay.
Earth,
Yeah.
and then the debris of that circulated
Made
and
the moon,
made
yeah,
the
yeah.
moon. These are theories, and they haven't proved them yet. Now, what I'm trying to say, scientists have got more evidence for the moon not to exist rather than for it to exist. They don't know why, because it's far too big. I mean, that's the capture theory is another one. As it was passing by, it got caught in our planet's gravitational pull. Bullshit, it's too big. It's far too big. I mean, there's ancient civilizations that write that there was a time before the moon where it was all mist and stuff, and only when the moon arrived, it created a gravitational pull on the seas, and it created seasons, and it created a lot of other bits and pieces. So, in essence, the moon, they're trying to say, has been dragged in and been placed in a perfect place. I mean, there's nowhere you're going to get that, what do you call it, the eclipse.
Right, there's the other problem with like the probability. And
Exactly.
The
There's no other
probability,
planet.
So that we need the moon to have what we've got on Earth and
For
human
life.
beings to exist.
But it's no.
So we wouldn't be here if we didn't have the moon. So you can't.
Well, that's what they say, Ollie. Then this is what I'm saying. There are
It's the perfect
civilizations.
condition
There
thing.
are
Like,
there are
obviously
ancient.
the conditions are perfect because we wouldn't be here if there wasn't.
Not really, because like that's
Yes,
what I'm trying
really.
to. Well, if you let me explain, is that they are ancient civilizations that say there was a time before the moon. The moon wasn't there, so obviously there were Homo sapiens and civilized people that can write and tell these stories.
I mean, obviously.
You know, so therefore is the point in a conspiratory level is that the moon has never been there all the time, because science and it cannot no one can agree on how it appeared. No one it's easier for them to say that it shouldn't exist rather than it existing, is what I'm saying, because there's too many mysteries to the moon. For instance, being hollow, if it was made from the same stuff of the Earth, then the heavier elements would have sunk into the middle. But no, it's the other way around. It's like there's a metallic, the crust of the moon is metallic. I mean, they crashed a satellite into it and it rang like a gong for hours. It's only going to be like that if it's hollow within the middle, like it's Swiss cheese.
Rang- crashed the satellite into
Rang
it.
where, George?
Crash. Sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. This is so. It's just coming to the end of this. Come back on this one. Oh, sorry, guys. Bringing up the moon. These little bit of conspiracies very passionate for me because, like,
There's
the
no
government.
atmosphere on the moon.
Yeah, well,
So
that's what
rang
you say.
where?
That's what you say. That's what. No. Oh, hang on a second. It rang through their. They've got seismometers. What record.
So it vibrated.
Yeah. So
Right, so you don't.
Dude, we've got 9 seconds. Let me come back and we'll come back. Let me stop this and we'll come back. Guys, we'll be back.